Welcome to Classic Soap Operas Podcast. Today, we're unpacking the wild world of soap opera tropes, evil twins, fake deaths, amnesia, surprise recasts, you know the drill. They might seem over the top, but they've kept daytime drama alive for decades. So, why do they work, and why do we keep coming back? Let's find out.
Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're plunging into, well, the captivating and sometimes totally illogical world of soap operas.
Ah, yes. The daytime dramas.
Exactly. We've all seen the drama, the betrayals, but what really makes them tick, it often seems to be these recurring plot devices, the tropes. Some are just unbelievable.
They really are. And to kind of get under the skin of these, we've gathered quite a mix of sources.
Okay.
We've got news articles looking at specific, really memorable storylines, some analyses that dig into the common patterns,
Right.
and even some really lively fan discussions, which gives us a great view on how actual viewers react to all this.
That's great. So our mission then is to unpack some of the most, well, enduring and sometimes just outrageous tropes, the ones that keep these stories going, sometimes for decades, right?
Right.
We want to understand what they are, but also why they're used so much.
Yeah.
And what that tells us about soap opera storytelling itself.
Exactly. Where should we start?
Okay, let's get started with a real cornerstone, the return from the seemingly dead.
Oh, yeah. That's practically a defining feature, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, the number of characters who survive things that should absolutely be fatal, car crashes, explosions, fires, only to pop up later, and often, crucially, no body was ever found.
Right, that missing body detail is key.
It is. That uncertainty, that lack of definite proof, it just leaves the door wide open for the writers.
Absolutely. A really prime example, I think, is from General Hospital back in 2016, Morgan Corinthos.
Oh, yeah, the car explosion.
At Angel's Bluff. It was such a classic setup. The explosion, nobody found, and the location, a bluff over water.
Perfect escape route.
It almost felt like they were telling us he'd be back eventually, like a deliberate dangling thread.
That's a sharp point, and it's a pattern, definitely. We saw a Cinema Blend article that specifically called out the back from the dead trope.
Right?
They even mentioned Stefano Demera from Days of Our Lives. He's like the poster child for cheating death multiple times.
He really is.
And, narratively, it lets writers bring back popular characters, explore different angles, without death being so final.
Sure.
It definitely creates buzz, even if it stretches belief sometimes.
And it's not just like an old school thing either. That 9 soap opera cliches article called them surprise resurrections. And they cited recent ones. Finn Finnegan on Bold and the Beautiful, Nicholas Cassadine back on General Hospital.
Right, it keeps happening.
It really makes death feel like, I don't know, a temporary setback in soaps.
And what's really interesting is how the audience reacts. Those Reddit discussions we looked at.
Yeah.
People kind of accept it. There's almost an expectation, like the absurdity is part of the fun, it seems. It's like this unspoken agreement.
Yeah, it's like we're all in on the joke almost. You see someone go off a cliff in flames and you think, okay, see you next week.
Exactly. Maybe with a different actor.
Huh. Right. Well, speaking of changes, let's move to another classic. The twin trope.
Ah, twins. Good twins, evil twins, long-lost twins showing up out of nowhere.
Total soap opera staple.
It is. Instant conflict, loads of dramatic potential right there.
That 9 soap opera cliches piece even called it double trouble when clones and twins take over.
It's true. Yeah.
They mentioned Sammy and Eric from Days as that classic good-bad pair and floated the idea of General Hospital using clones for Drew Kane or Victor Cassadine.
Which, given the genre, not impossible.
Not at all. And, thinking about the pace of these shows, the daily production, unlike primetime, they need quick fixes for cast changes. So things like twins or like we'll discuss plastic surgery, they're not just drama, they're practical tools.
That's a really good point. They're baked into the production model. And Cinema Blend also highlighted the evil twins trope, specifically mentioning Adam and Stuart Chandler from All My Children. That classic duality.
But why twins so often? There was that article, Soap Tropes. Here's why soap operas use long-lost twins.
Right, what did that say?
It suggested it's often a strategy, like to bring back popular actors.
Ah, okay. So the actor leaves.
Yeah, but they want to keep the actor. So bring them back as a twin. They listed examples like Kitty becoming Kelly on All My Children, Caroline turning into Karen on Bold and the Beautiful, that whole Stefan Jake Stefan thing on Days.
Oh, that was complicated.
Right, and Kevin Ryan on GH, Cassie Mariah on Y&R. It's everywhere.
It really shows the unique pressures, doesn't it? An actor's a fan favorite, they leave, but hey, presto, here's their identical twin, keeps the familiar face around.
It's pretty clever, actually. Manages the cast changes, keeps fans engaged.
Yeah.
And that Reddit thread, revisiting soap opera tropes, twins, people were all over it.
Oh, I bet.
Listing tons of General Hospital twins.
Yeah.
Kevin and Ryan, Anna and Alex, Jason and Drew, Nell and Willow.
Wow, yeah.
And arguing about which ones worked. Someone even suggested Liz should have had twins with different dads. Now that is peak soap.
That perfectly shows how viewers are just dialed into these twists that even invent their own. The thread also mentioned a brief history of evil twins, so it's got a long pedigree.
And it seems the actors kind of lean into the craziness, too.
Yeah.
That Nikki Swift article.
Yeah.
Mentioned Deidre Hall from Days.
Marlena.
Joking that maybe she needed a long-lost sibling plot. She said, maybe we were triplets.
Huh. That's great. It really speaks to that self-aware quality the genre sometimes has. Everyone's sort of in on the game.
Totally.
Okay, so from doubles to blank slates. Let's talk Amnesia.
Ah, yes. The ultimate narrative get-out-of-jail-free card. The cliches article nailed it. Reset button, period.
It really is. Perfect for wiping out inconvenient memories, awkward relationships, whole identities sometimes.
We've seen it so many times. Jason Morgan on General Hospital is probably the most famous example, right? Yeah. After the accident and surgeries.
Definitely. And Ashley Abbott on Yam and the Restless, she's had bouts of it too. From a writing perspective, it lets you explore new sides of a character, create mystery.
Yeah, build suspense around what they forgot.
And then, bam, the memories come flooding back, usually at the worst possible moment.
Or the best, depending on your point of view. Cinema Blend also listed Amnesia. They did mention Jason Quartermain's memory loss on GH as being, like, permanent.
Which is unusual.
Very. Usually it's temporary, right? Designed to come back just in time to blow up a wedding or reveal a secret.
Precisely. Okay, now let's connect that to something we touched on earlier, the practical side of recasting, viewed through the lens of plastic surgery.
Right. This is where the story meets the real world. Cinema Blend mentioned how major plastic surgery in the plot is often the go-to explanation when a character suddenly looks completely different.
Because they're played by a new actor.
Exactly. A convenient narrative justification.
They called it the extreme plastic surgery trope. Max Holden on One Life to Live is a good example. After severe burns, it became a major plot point, and hey, look, new actor.
And that connects directly back to that General Hospital spoiler about Morgan.
With the burns from the explosion.
Yeah. It explicitly mentioned the burns as setting up the possibility of plastic surgery, and therefore a recast. It's a neat way to handle it, within the story's logic anyway.
It is, and that Reddit discussion, why are recasts so much more acceptable in soap operas, actually brings this up.
Go on.
Someone mentioned plastic surgery as one of those cheap shocks and thrills that viewers just kind of expect, making recasts easier to swallow.
It's like the audience suspension of disbelief is just higher for soaps.
Oh.
We get the behind-the-scenes needs.
We do.
And speaking of convoluted explanations, that Todd Manning Wikipedia entry, wow.
Oh, the Trevor St. John recast.
Yeah. First it was plastic surgery. Okay, fine. But then, plot twist. St. John's character wasn't Todd after surgery. He was Todd's twin brother, Victor Lord Jr., who'd been brainwashed to think he was Todd.
Good grief. That's layering tropes on tropes.
It's like a trope turducken.
Ha! Perfect description. The plastic surgery explains the recast, but also hides the twin reveal. Double duty.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving quickly through some others.
Yeah.
There's Sawais, right?
Rapid aging syndrome. Cinema Blend mentioned it. Little kid goes upstairs, comes back down. A teenager played by someone new.
Happens all the time.
Yep. And then there's the whole list. Switched at birth.
Classic.
Secret babies popping up years later.
Always dramatic.
The endless love triangles.
Well, of course.
Comas that end right on cue. Brain tumors causing personality shifts.
Yeah.
Convenient. Surprised children revealing their parentage. Repressed memories bubbling up.
Weddings that inevitably go disastrously wrong.
Oh, yeah. It was all a dream cop-out.
Oh, yeah.
The eternal who's the father question.
Yeah.
Wild retcons that just rewrite history.
Yeah, changing the past.
And of course, your friendly neighborhood crime lord like Sonny Corinthos, all mentioned across the sources.
It's just this huge toolkit of dramatic devices, isn't it? So why do these same ideas keep coming back decade after decade, show after show?
Well, there are practical reasons. That Reddit thread on recasts mentioned actor availability, actors leaving, and just the sheer length these shows run. You need ways to keep things moving, accommodate real-world changes. Budgets probably play a role, too.
Sure. Cheaper to bring someone back than write them out sometime.
Could be. And then there's just the pure dramatic potential, which Cinema Blend and the Clichés article really hit on.
They're reliable ways to create conflict, right?
Yeah.
Suspense. Those cliffhangers.
Exactly. They're engines for story. They provide a structure you can hang plots on for years, literally years.
And we kind of touched on the audience aspect, too.
Yeah, the Reddit talks showed that. There's this, familiarity, maybe even an expectation of the slightly absurd.
It's part of the deal.
It seems to be part of the shared experience.
It's like controlled chaos, almost.
Yeah.
That Cinema One piece mentioned the soap wheel idea, too.
Right, the rapid cycling through storylines.
Which means you need these big dramatic devices just to keep the momentum going constantly.
Precisely. They're the gears, basically.
Yeah.
Keeping that wheel spinning, churning out drama, secrets, shocks.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've definitely explored the wonderfully weird, consistently wild world of soap opera tropes. Resurrections, twins, amnesia, plastic surgery switches, and just a whole host of others.
And yeah, they might seem outlandish if you really stop and think about them.
Right.
But they are absolutely fundamental to why these shows have lasted so long and why people keep watching. They're the building blocks.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. TV's changing, right? Streaming, binge watching, everything's different. Will these classic soap tropes still work in the future? Will they resonate? Or does the genre need to kind of reinvent its storytelling to connect with newer audiences?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah. What about you? What are the soap tropes you secretly love? Or maybe the ones that make you roll your eyes every time? Something to think about until our next deep dive.
What's your favorite soap trope? The one you love or love to hate? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening to the Classic Soap Operas podcast.